And I now give the floor to the observer of the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance.
Madam President, Excellencies, International IDEA would like to thank the General Assembly for convening this new emergency special session on Ukraine and commends the renewed focus on the safe and full return of children deported or displaced by the war as part of the broader commitments under UN General Assembly Resolution ES 11/7, which calls for the return of all civilians forcibly transferred or deported. We call on all parties to guarantee safe, voluntary return under conditions consistent with international law, and to ensure adequate humanitarian, psychological, social, and legal support for returnees, especially for children. This is an essential and urgent humanitarian step that the international community must support at the same time as we pursue the full restoration of Ukraine's democratic sovereignty. As we have stated in prior sessions, peace in Ukraine must be rooted in justice, sovereignty, and international law, not imposed through ultimatums or political expediency. The war launched against Ukraine by the Russian Federation remains a blatant violation of Ukraine's territorial integrity and the fundamental right of its people, including the children, to self-determination. The children returning to Ukraine deserve a country fully, irreversibly theirs, a sovereign and democratic Ukraine where the will of the people freely expressed determines their future. Democracy, not coercion, not occupation, is the only viable foundation for lasting peace. Democracy is thus not a secondary concern. Safeguarding and restoring democratic institutions and processes is central to the reconstruction and moral repair of the country. A just peace in Ukraine must begin with three interlinked and non-negotiable pillars. First, the unconditional withdrawal of all occupying forces and the restoration of full control of the territory to the Ukrainian people. Second, accountability for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and mass deportations, including the forced transfer of children, to uphold justice and deter future aggression. And third, robust support for democratic renewal, including the rebuilding of electoral infrastructure, restoring independent media, protecting civic space, and enabling displaced persons to meaningfully re-engage in political and community life. Democracy must be at the center of reconstruction and healing. The return of the children is a moral imperative and a test of our humanity. Yet, it must not be treated as a standalone victory or a final goal. Without restoring sovereignty, democracy, and human rights, the return will be hollow, a temporary reprieve rather than a durable resolution. Excellencies, this Assembly has demonstrated before that when democracy, sovereignty, and human rights are under assault, the international community must respond not only with words, but with enduring solidarity and tangible support. The coming weeks and months present a defining moment for the displaced children, for Ukraine, for the credibility of this organization, and for the universal values it embodies. Let us ensure that the return of the children to Ukraine becomes the first milestone in a broader path toward justice, sovereignty, democracy, and a lasting peace. Thank you very much.
I thank the observer of the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance.